Beautiful. All right, so let's continue with what we were doing, and let's actually make sure that my screen is being shared properly. Push a test to the chat menu, and that's working. And if we go to the capture card, that should be running now. Beautiful. I'm actually thinking that maybe it would be a good idea to move the webcam. This extreme side angle is kind of meh. Okay. So, So we have a nice groundwork for the prototype, so I can actually get a feel for what the game is. The only problem is that I need to establish some sort of nice. The collision mask for the object is still kind of weird, but you know, we can deal with that. I need to establish some sort of a plan for this, because so far this has started with concept art idea, writing down the visual idea that I had in mind, but this time I need to write it down in text. Not the idea, but the actual plan, the product timeline, the development timeline. Now, trying to stick to some sort of schedule might be a little bit difficult. Once again, as an indie developer, there's so many things that come into play when it comes to available time. Okay. So what I need to do is, let's go ahead and let's take a look at maybe creating a spreadsheet. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a spreadsheet, and I'll move it to the screen, and we'll establish some sort of a to-do list. That's kind of important. Okay, so this is Birth of Reapers. Oh yeah. I had reversed alphabetical order for all of my project names and folder names. I was wondering, where the hell is the project that I've written down? As a matter of fact, Birth of Reapers. Yes. Okay, so this is actually located in a place where I don't want it to be. I'm gonna go ahead and move. I know you can't see it, but just bear with me. Bear with me for a moment. I'll put on some music. Let's put on some tunes. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is where we're gonna write down the stuff we need to work on. Now, GameMaker Studio actually has its own note system. So, if you were inclined, you know, you could put some notes here, and as you can see, I already had a few things that I've written down. Even though some of these things are still in the script, I just need to remind myself of them. But I hear that they were actually working on more functionality. They were working on like to-do lists, which is kind of interesting because I found that feature by mistake, accidentally stumbling upon it in the documentation, and it wasn't in the level or in the engine. And what happened is when I posted about it on the forum, it immediately got taken down, right? So it's like, shh, the conspiracy theories, right? Okay, so here's what we need to do. To do bosses, enemies, shopkeeper. We need level templates, and then we need level content. Now some of these things we've already designed, so all they just need to be created. The actual pixel art versions of them. Okay. Bosses, enemies, shopkeeper, level template, level content. We need to create music, sound effects. Right, these are all the components that make up this game. If you don't write them down, then they're in obscurity. You can forget about them. Okay, bosses, enemies, shopkeeper, level templates, level content, music and sound effects. Voice over. Oh. Voiceovers. And in this case, I think there's only one voiceover, the narrator, who happens to be the priest that guides you throughout the level. Okay, so the levels. So let's break these things down. Break them down into manageable categories. All right, so we've got level templates. These have got to be designed in pixel art. So level templates, levels. I guess level templates, and we're gonna go with what levels are there. Important not to put like a god-awful amount of levels. You have to keep the scope of your own abilities. And I tend to make huge levels, and I tend to make huge games. I hate cutting content. It's so painful. You spend your time, you come up with these mechanics, and it's just, you gotta cut the content, and it's just like, ah, my baby. So, I hate doing that. Okay, I have a cup of coffee. Gracias. So level templates. We start in a dungeon, which is like the graveyard dungeon descent. Then we enter the crypt. Sure. Crypt. Crypt and graveyard would basically look the same, so we'll just bundle them together. Dungeon, crypt, and graveyard. And then let me actually do level templates, content. Actually, I think content should be a separate separate section, because the content for the graveyard would not necessarily apply as a content for, let's say, the castle. Dungeon, crypt, and castle. I think that's about it. 3 levels. I think 3 levels is more than enough. Wouldn't you say? I think it should be more than enough. If I make it any bigger, it's gonna blow up out of scope of my own abilities. So dungeon, crypt, graveyard, and then castle. That should be nice and sweet. Okay, so before we go into the content for each one of those, we're gonna say bosses, and we're gonna come up with some bosses. So baby face. I came up with it just this morning when I was making breakfast. Like, what if I make an enemy with the face of a baby, but the slobby, giant, fat body of like a butcher? Not to say that all butchers are fat and sloppy, but like talking RPG or medieval game style. Whew. Yeah, that means it's a good idea. Okay, so babyface. We have the final bosses, and the final bosses are the Reapers. They're the past Reapers of the previous generation, like story-wise, that have replaced the previous Reapers, who have replaced the previous Reapers, who have replaced the previous Reapers, right? It's like a constant rebirth cycle. So we have, let's come up with some nice enemies. We have Babyface, and these would be like servants of the Reapers, so to speak. I think it would be a nice idea. So we have Dungeon. Dungeon will have, okay, Dormagog. I have no idea. I just came up with this random name, but it sounds interesting. And so Dormagog would probably be the last boss for the dungeon. Baby face. Oh boy. Okay. Dungeon, we have Babyface, we have Dormagog, and Dormagog the Slayer. The Warden. So we have the Warden, we have we can reorder them. We can start with Dormagog. We'll set with the Warden, and then we'll meet the Babyface. Unless the Babyface would be like the lowest one. Right. So dungeons. Then we have Crypt Graveyard, and then we have Castle, and then basically end game. And the end game is not going to be like a huge separate level. It's basically going to be the final room, the final boss battle. Alright, so we're going to say Reapers. Crypt Graveyard. Yeah. Okay. The Warden. So should I put notes as inserts, or should I put notes as something else? I could probably put it as comments. Insert note. Here we go. That's what I need. So Warden, a single eyeball, buff enemy, bug. Buff enemy that overwatches the dungeons. Okay, seems like we can't. Overwatches the dungeons. Okay. So Babyface is kind of self-explanatory. Dormagog would have to be like a Minotaur, maybe? Let's actually take a look at something for inspiration. Cow skull. Ooh. Longhorn cow skull. That would be pretty cool, but I think the Reaper, one of the Reapers would have the cow skull, because that looks amazing. Animating it is going to be a bitch. Okay, so we're going to say cow skull. Whatchamacallit? Okay. So we're gonna say wielding. How do you spell wielding? Wielding a sword. Oh, Jesus. Welding. Okay. Cow skull. Black torn cloak. Wielding a scythe. Okay. In the crypt and graveyard, what do we want to do? What sort of a fun-looking enemy can we put in? So we got Babyface, Warden, Dormagog. I have no idea what Dormagog would look like. Actually, so it's like a Dark Knight armor. Huh. Interesting. Very American of Google to suggest American spelling. Oh well. I like it not showing the red, so I'll just, you know, I'll cave. Dark Knight armor. And it's gonna be like glossy sword. Okay, so not just Dormagog. This is actually gonna be Lord Dormagog. Alright, we'll have a nice stature to it. So it's Babyface, Gordon, and Lord Dormagog. So the graveyard will also have a sort of a lord to it. Okay, graveyard. We'll see, Lord what? Lord who? Lord what? Something plague related. Okay. So how about we'll do ooh, I like this one. Gravekeeper. So Gravekeeper will be, it's gonna be pretty cool. So a coffin wielding. So coffin wielding, tight. Oh, what's the name of this? It's gonna be it's like a suit type, like a raincoat. What's oh god, I'm trying to think of the proper overcoat. Is it overcoat? What do flashers wear when they get on the bus? Overcoats, right? I think. Yeah, okay. Coffin wielding, black raincoat. Maybe even a shovel. Wielding, black raincoat. Enemy with a hat. Let's see, what hat types do we have? I'm looking for a very specific one. Let's actually do old man with a wide hat. The white hat might actually allow me to hide the face, and so I don't have to animate it. So the decision there could be very technical, right? Okay. That's the Gravekeeper. After the Gravekeeper, we have the Apothecary. Okay. Or maybe it's gonna be Lord Apothecary. Or, okay. Lord Crow. Sure. Let's do that. The castle is going to be something more like something butler related. You know, or like the staff manager. Something with servants. And we can have zombies. Or we can have like, yeah, we can have like goblins and zombies in in maiden costumes. Same exact zombies from like the first game or the first levels, just in maid costumes. Oh, that would be funny. You know what? I'm totally putting that in. I'm totally putting that in. So this is for the castle. Zombies in maid costumes. That's so dumb. Okay. Text rotation. Really? Yeah, let's not do that. Can we have word wrap? We gotta have word wrap. Castles. Oh man. I mean, if anything, I might just be able to reuse the animations from the previous level and just paint and draw the costumes over them. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, so we have in the castle. The boss is in the castle. Okay, we'll see. Lord Walter. Okay. So we'll insert a note. The evil staff manager, butler. Excuse me. Butler. This is why book writers and script writers don't live stream them working on a book. Oh man. Evil staff manager, butler. Slick. Formal servant costume. Costumant. Is there a word such a... Yeah, is there such a word? Wait a minute. French. Costumes, costumes. I see. So it's just French for the same word. Set of clothes in a style of typical or of a particular country or historical period. But that just says costume, not costume meant. Ooh, I just heard the Game Boy sound. Yeah, okay. So, castle, castle, castle. With the Gravekeeper, or I should say, the Yardkeeper, I'm getting like very Demon Souls like vibes, that very Victorian look, which is kind of something that I may want to try to go for in terms of the visual style of the game. So we have castle. In the castle we have who starts with the Walter? We can start with like the chef, groundskeeper, yardkeeper, groundskeeper. Sounds too similar. Actually, never mind Lord Walter. Lord Walter will actually gonna be the lowest enemy, I think. Or maybe like the mid enemy. Groundskeeper. Or Lord Keeper. Hey! Lord Keeper. Because he's the last enemy before the Reapers. Okay, so Walter. Actually, you know what? We can put in some lore. So we have the groundskeeper. Okay. Add a note. Okay. Lord Keeper. The keeper of the lords. Known as Reapers. Maybe. Although Lord Keeper would actually be better suited for all the other lords, so... So grounds keeper, does he have a name? Right, groundskeeper. Surpassed Lord. Let's actually maybe turn from Walter to like Srav. I don't know why, but I don't know. Names start with an S. Sound more evil. Okay. Surpassed Lord Srav with his devotion to the service. The service. The Reapers. The Reapers have given his life a second chance. So this is actually gonna have to move into the script because this is like important lore. Reapers have given his life a second chance. Thus he devoted his life to their service. Okay, Lord Slav. Evil staff manager. Butler, slick formal servant costume. Without a keeper of the castle. The manager of the castle. I don't know. What would be the first enemy? Or the first boss of this level? Lord Crow would actually be the gatekeeper of the cemetery, graveyard, and crypt. Gatekeeper of the cemetery, graveyard, and crypt. That makes sense to me. We could come back to this, but I want to make sure that I for sure can't really come up with anything else. Dungeon. Lord Strav. Sure. Zombies in maid costumes. Guess we have the Yard Keeper. Yard Keeper, Apothecary, and Lord Crow. Then we have Lord Strav, Groundskeeper, and then we have the Reapers. There's actually a piece of a story. Oh boy, it's too funny. What am I thinking? Maybe a thief, some sort of like a rogue character. Assassin? Okay, I'll come back to this. Okay, so we have the enemies. For the enemies, I think it's best to go with common and specific. Or we have enemies right there, actually. What am I doing? Whoops. Okay. So the crypt. The crypt's gonna have... Ooh. Ooh. Actually. Ghoul in... How do you spell... Spell, do we spell it? Yep. Shackles. So we have a ghoul in shackles. He'll basically kind of run at you and take swipes at you. Right? We also need generic ones that will be seen anywhere in any one of these levels. Okay. So generic ones are the Warlock. The generic ones are the... What are the ghost like? The ghost ones. The ones that I did the art for. Dungeon room. Can test this out. That's not the same one. No, there was a test that I did. Let's see. This was concept art. This one of these, I think. Style test. That's the one. That's a pretty huge image. Yes. not bad. So this guy right here. And I'm pretty sure I actually got the scaling right. Yeah, oh yeah. We're gonna have to make the movement more dynamic, like a lot more dynamic. It's kind of stiff right now. But generally speaking, this guy here this guy here should probably be a generic enemy. We are working with the limitation here. Okay, so we have the Warlock, we have the Apothecary, I guess. Even though that's already the name of a boss. So, Warlock. Oh, we have a Brute, we have a Ghost. I guess we'll call him a Ghost. And we'll call it Ghost Doctor. Sure. And then we'll say Ghoul. Alright, so the Crypt will have a Ghoul in Shackles. Maybe a Skeleton. No, Skeletons will actually be in Crypt. Skeletons. I can't get over it. Oh, that's so dumb. How many varieties are we gonna have, really? Okay. Let's make a slime. Let's make a flying slime. Alright. These are the generic ones. Ghoul in Shackles. How about we'll say Axe Ghoul. The Crypt will concentrate more on things like zombies and whatnot. Right? Okay, so the generic ones, there's also the Ghost Doctor. Apothecary Phantom. So the difference between this and that is that Ghost Doctor is actually going to be the enemy that swoops down if you spend too much time in a single level. Okay. Spawns. Spends too long in a single level. Or in a single room, I should say. Tough enemies. Yes. Check. Now, we do have a game script, or a part of a game script, which we can consult for some stuff. Got levels, weapons, skills, skill scrolls. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4 swipe, attack, roll, ability to roll past enemies, that sounds interesting. Special abilities. Oh man, totally forgot about special abilities. This is where if you kill enemies in a consecutive manner, you'll be able to grow your special abilities. Or you'll be able to grow your wrath, and then the wrath is what you spent on triggering special abilities. Not to mention, there's also stuff that enemies drop. Oh man. Okay, each NPC has a journal description. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this. Whoops. How do I do the strike through? Come on. Oh, Jesus. Shift X. Alt Shift 5? Nope. Interesting. Strike through. Or Control Shift X. Nope, that closes the window. I don't want to do that. Come on, I don't want to delete it. I just want to Alt Shift 5. Okay. I don't have arms, hands, palms, fingers in that configuration. It's very uncomfortable. Okay, so this is actually what I forgot about. Good thing I had written down. Plague Mask Ghast. Initially invisible, only mask shows up when the NPC move. Full body reveals when the NPC attacks, otherwise stationary and invisible. Try. Speed of the NPC determines how visible it is. Huh, okay. Visibility stages are fully invisible, partially visible, fully visible. Duh. NPC move from one stage to another depending on the movement speed. NPC can still be hurt when the player is hit or damage it when it's invisible, which will make the NPC partially visible for a moment. NPC can flee the immediate area when surrounded by teleporting. Okay, so there's your way of stretching the battle with one of these. Shifting to another area, the process of which makes it turn completely invisible. NPCs can traverse a parallel dimension while invisible or visible in order to flee the player's attacks. Whew. The traversal is accompanied by a sound effect, letting players know where the NPC enters or leaves the room while still not being visible. Okay, so it's like a sound cue. So that's good. Good thing I wrote it down. Not gonna go with the journals, to be honest. That's too much work. It's not for me alone. So level designs, underground graveyard, catacombs. So catacombs are no longer, yeah, see, we're no longer doing like peasant burial, rich burial, slaughter, storage room. Yeah, we're not doing that stuff anymore. Level design, underground graveyard. Hallway, made up of multiples of the same room, or hallway design prefab, and connected by doors or a single very long stacked room. Okay, single room made up of a room prefab, various shapes, all or most of which is seen in the whole screen. Okay, so it's like a single room thing. It's not gonna take up more than the entire screen of the game, so there's no camera scrolling. The chamber, single large area. This is like the final area of the final staging area before they hit the boss. How often are the bosses supposed to come in? I mean, if we take a look at this stuff, we have dungeon. Dungeon has the babyface, warden, and Lord Dormagog. You know, what if every single level has a single boss? So Lord Crow and Yardkeeper are going to be one and the same. Right? Has a crow-like attack, and this guy's actually going to be called Lord Crow. Lord Crow. The first one's going to be called Lord Babyface. Yes, Lord Babyface. Oh boy. Okay. A single eyeball. No. Yeah. So we'll get rid of the notes. Lord Crow. Single boss, man. Single boss. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do Groundskeeper. And then we're gonna say the Reapers. 3 bosses and the final boss battle. Okay. For the enemies, Ghoul in Shackles, Axe Ghoul, Crypt Skeleton, Zombies in the main class. Oh. I pride myself on the ability to entertain myself. Okay. Ghoul in Shackles, Axe Ghoul, okay, Skeleton and Zombie. Now, ghouls are ghouls, zombies are slow, ghouls are fast. Ghouls in Shackles, Axe Ghoul, Skeleton Zombie, zombies in maid costumes. And a lot of these generic ones are gonna be seen throughout all of the levels. So Warlock, Brute, Apothecary, Phantom, Ghoul, Slime, Flying Slime, okay, Flying Eyeball. That's the one that we've been testing this thing with. Let's get some inspiration. Battle the eyeballs. Battle the flying onion rings. Let me do a quick change here. It's this thing here. Give the point distance. I guess it's the point distance minus 32 pixels. Whoops. 32 pixels from the player coordinate. So it doesn't scale it from the base, the feet, the contact of the feet on the floor, which is where the collision mask and the pivot point are. It's actually going to be up by 32 pixels. There you go. So now you can actually hit him. I'd have to adjust the mask. The mask is a little bit too big. I'd have to do something about these enemies converging on the player into this one single body. It's not really what we want. We want to be able to individually see these enemies, more or less at least. Yeah. Oof. So get out of here. They'll come back. You'll definitely have to have some sort of a more satisfying mechanic. Right now it actually kind of looks like it kind of looks like they're actually evading. They're evading the sword hits. So I think what would be a good idea to do is to wait until the sword animation is done, or at least like the current frame set is done playing, and then move them back. Right? So I'm talking about in the player object, when we do this, this happens right away. That's why it kind of looks like it kind of looks like they're skipping the player, or they're evading the player's hits. Okay, I'm gonna take a break.